My first awareness of the 9/11 World Trade Center attacks was during my last tour in the Marine Corps. I'd just done a lat move to the counterintelligence in the West, was attending a 4-month CI school in Dam Neck, Virginia, learning all about terrorism and counter-espionage operations. I just spent the previous night completing my anti-terrorism force protection brief that I was giving that day. Just before my brief was to start at 0900 on 9/11, our instructors were abruptly summoned from the room. A few minutes later, they returned, saying nothing, and turned on the television, where we saw one of the World Trade Center towers on fire. At first, my classmates and I thought it was part of the class scenario in which we were involved in a simulated counterintelligence operation throughout our class time. We learned it was a real-world incident when the school commander came in and informed us of the attack, telling us it was not a scenario. While he spoke, the other tower was hit by the second plane, and soon other reports came in of the attack on the Pentagon. Minutes later, we all watched in horror when both towers fell. In the following days, newscasts began providing accounts of first responder actions during and after the attacks. The stories of heroism demonstrated by America's first responders, both firemen and police officers, are far too many to mention here today. I do little justice to their actions and their sacrifice by my small words which are hard-pressed to explain what makes one risk all in order to save others. I can but recount a few of their brief stories with words ill-equipped to tell their heroic actions and courageous sacrifice which saved many lives. 412 brave first responders, 72 police officers, 343 New York City firemen, 8 paramedics, and a patrolman of the New York Fire Patrol. Heroes all. Officer John Perry, a man who had just filed his retirement papers that very morning, answered the call. Officer Perry, an avid marathon runner, ran several blocks to the World Trade Center and was last seen helping a woman out in the South Tower when it collapsed. He gave his life saving others. Officer Maura Smith. Twice in her career, Officer Smith answered the call. A survivor of the 1991 Union Square subway tragedy, Officer Smith was credited with saving multiple lives. When 9/11, Officer Smith again responded. She was last seen rescuing people from Tower 2 shortly before it collapsed. She gave her life saving others. Partners Mark Ellis and Ramon Suarez, officers of the New York City Transit Police, answered the call. Once hearing of the attack, Officer Ellis and Officer Suarez commandeered a taxi cab to get to the World Trade Center. Officer Ellis and Officer Suarez were last seen heading back into the North Tower after reassuring a survivor everything was going to be all right. They gave their lives saving others. Officer Walter Weaver, a member of the Bronx Emergency Services Unit, was filling in for a fellow officer when he answered the call. Officer Weaver was last seen on the 6th floor of the North Tower attempting to free passengers trapped in an elevator. Shortly after the building collapsed, he gave his life saving others. Two brothers, Detective Joseph Vigiano of the Harlem Emergency Services Unit and Brooklyn firefighter John Vigiano, Ladder Company 132, answered the call. Detective Joseph Vigiano was last seen between the 30th and 35th floors of the North Tower, while his brother, firefighter John Vigiano, was last seen in the Marriott Hotel lobby, staging area for rescue operations. They gave their lives saving others. Captain Kathy Mazza, commander of the Port Authority Police Academy, answered the call. Responding to the emergency, Captain Mazza entered the North Tower to rescue civilians. She was leading a group of people down the stairs when the building started to collapse. Using her sidearm, Captain Mazza shot out the lobby windows, enabling many to escape. Captain Mazza was killed later when the tower collapsed. She gave her life saving others. Officer Santos Valentine, a member of the Emergency Service Unit K9 unit, answered the call. Officer Valentine climbed the South Tower with his fellow officers where he helped rescue the thousands of fleeing World Trade Center workers. Officer Valentine's last radio call was from the 20th floor of the South Tower, where he was looking for more survivors. he gave his life saving others. These are the stories of America's 9/11 heroes. Each and every one, their deeds inspire us. Their bravery strengthens us, and their selfless sacrifice encourages us to do the same.